What's up, everyone? Welcome to RotoGrinders Live. I am your host today, TJ Zwarich. I'm talking about MLB for the next hour and 20 minutes or so, hour and 10 minutes or so. Then we have the Crunchtime crew coming in, who will be breaking down some MLB and NBA with you. We got a big slate on both fronts tonight. 13 games on the MLB side of things that we will be breaking down. And to help me do it, I got Head Chopper, my guy alongside me. Chop, how you doing?
Hanging in there on a Friday, just doing the thing, getting ready for a little movie night and hanging out, man. Not much going on here.
Do you got a movie on the docket today all ready to go, or still have to choose?
Well, I've been looking a little bit. I didn't see anything like super new and that I must see. So I think I'm going to go with Hulu. And I'm going to go the Bob Dylan movie they got two movies that were nominated. They have Anora also, that Anora movie, which I'm a little worried about that one. So a lot of the nominated movies like that just aren't good, and I don't know about this one. But so I think the Bob Dylan should be pretty good. So I'm going to do the Bob Dylan movie tonight.
Both very solid movies. I would say don't watch Anora with, like a family movie night with your kids. Maybe save that one for just you and the wife. But outside of that, I definitely still recommend watching it. It's a good movie. Second act goes kind of wild and it becomes kind of funny, but then it's definitely weird, but it's enjoyable. And we will be having a Film Friday for today as well here on Grinders Live. We'll drop 5 clues. You get one guess per clue. Throw them in the RotoGrinders live stream Discord chat. And if you guess the movie correctly, you get 1 free week of RotoGrinders Premium. Doesn't even matter if you're already a premium subscriber. We'll knock 1 week of pricing off of your account. All you got to do is get your guesses in the RotoGrinders live stream Discord chat. 1 guess per clue. And we'll also have some Spidey bombs coming for you. If you keep smashing the like button, every 50 likes, we got some Spidey bombs. Maybe we can get some choppers, knockers. Maybe a BVP play of the day. We'll see. But in order for that to happen, you got to smash the like button. If you're watching us on YouTube, take your mouse, give it a little slide, give it a click if you're watching on your computer.
You don't have to smash it. You can tickle it. You can caress it.
Anyway, as long as you just give a little push.
Exactly. You don't have to smash. We're not violent people here.
If you're watching on your phone, you got to click hide chat. It's 2 steps. I apologize. It's a little X at the top right of the screen. And then you can give that like button a smash. First clue for Movie Monday. Again, get your guesses into the RotoGrinders live stream Discord chat. Is family. First clue for, sorry, not Movie Monday. It's not Monday today. It's Friday. Film Friday. First clue for Film Friday is family. I feel like there's a set of movies or one movie in particular people are going to be guessing here after that first one. And it's clue 1. I wouldn't go quite that obvious, everybody. But Film Friday, not Movie Monday. We got clue number 1, family. Huge slate tonight, Chop, for baseball. 13 games. And wildly enough, we only have one single team right now with a implied team total above 5 runs. A lot of pitching on this slate. We'll start there. How many lineups you playing tonight? How do you plan on attacking this one?
50 lineups. 50 lineups. And I'm seeing some good pitching. I'm also seeing some decent stacks. So I think ultimately what I will do today is narrow that pitching down to about 5 or 6 guys, and then go with the double stack. I probably want to go 4x2 and 4x3 today. I feel in some of these offenses are in pretty good shape, and so I'll take advantage of it. It's a huge slate. You got to stack tonight. It's almost impossible for like one of these teams is going to break out and do something. So yeah, you better make it worth your while. So a little stacking, and just narrowing that pitcher pool down. But that's how I'm going to play it. I don't know how you're going to play it.
Where are you going to start with this pitcher pool? Because there's a lot of options on this slate, a lot of really high upside, really low floor options. We got Jacob deGrom, who hasn't quite looked like Jacob deGrom yet early in the year. We got Pivetta going up against Colorado outside of Coors. We got Yamamoto up top, but the Cubs have looked incredible lately. Nola, Taj Bradley, like a lot of really good pitchers on this slate. Among this top tier, let's say Yamamoto, Jacob deGrom, Nick Pivetta, Aaron Nola. How are you going to handle those four guys, and how are you going to classify them for the true aces, your true SP1s tonight?
Those particular guys, I do like deGrom. I know he hasn't put up the DFS numbers just yet, but they're on their way. And it's a game in Seattle against a marginal offense, so I'm good with that. So I'm definitely gonna have over the field on deGrom. Then for me comes, okay, who did you want to be in this tier? You said Aaron Nola from
above 9K. So Nola,
okay,
deGrom, Yamamoto.
yeah. Nola for me is actually one I'm looking at right now to fade. Like I might be fading Nola. I don't know. I'm not in love with anything that he's done this year. I think there's some signs there that maybe he's seen his best days. I don't know. I'm just not in love with Aaron Nola tonight. So we're going to talk about the Cubs when we talk about stacks, and I probably have a little bit of love for the Cubs stack later on, which means I probably don't have as much love for Yamamoto. So it's just the way it works out. But I think he's going to be, I think I saw earlier something like third, fourth highest owned pitcher. It's not a big ownership number because I think the first couple of guys are going to get some bigger numbers, but he's still going to be owned heavily against a tough offense this year, man. So I don't know about Yamamoto. Not really on that. Might have a couple teams with him, but not very much. The one I really like, probably the most out of these guys, is Pivetta. So I love the matchup with Colorado. Out of Coors Field, that's great. The thing is, you got to look up all the numbers for him. They look really good. They look really all the numbers point to him being a pretty good pitcher here. So I just love the matchup, and he's probably the guy now on DraftKings. So my 50 lineups are going to be on FanDuel. So it's different. It's one pitcher, and the pricing is different. Now I'm looking at on DraftKings right now because that's what the show mainly focuses on. And 9,500 for deGrom, 91 for Pivetta. That's probably not enough gap over there for me to like heavily favor Pivetta. Probably like deGrom even more. But in general, I do think Pivetta is second on my list to deGrom in that category. I like both of those guys the most.
All right, let's start pivoting into this cheaper tier. I agree with you. deGrom and Pivetta are absolutely going to be my guys over Yamamoto and Aaron Nola today. In my 50 lineups, I think I'm going to be full fading both Aaron Nola and Yamamoto. So neither of those two for me today. I do like deGrom and Pivetta best, but I still kind of think with both of them pushing 40+% ownership on DraftKings, I might be underweight on both of them today. Having said that, none of the other options feel safe by any means. There's a lot of high upside options today, but nothing feels remotely close to safe. Let's talk about the next tier of guys, the 8Kers. We got Ronel Blanco, Taj Bradley, Edward Rodriguez, Robbie Ray is in that range as well, Bryce Miller, Matthew Boyd. Who among that group stands out for you? I feel like Bryce Miller has the best projection of that group, but I'm not super fond of him going up against Texas based on how he started the year. So let's start with Bryce Miller. How do you feel about him tonight?
Yeah, I don't mind him as much. I think Texas is a pretty decent lineup, but I think a lot of that will get neutralized in Seattle. Such a big ballpark, and historically he's been pretty good at home. I don't mind him at 8,500. Don't mind him. Like you say, he's going to project better than anybody else in this tier, so I'm fine with that. So let me get through some guys that I won't be playing. I won't be playing Ronel Blanco, even though I think the first start was maybe a little bit flukish on the bad side. He's still going to strike guys out, and he just got to get his walks under control. And it's not a bad matchup, but I don't think I'm going to play him tonight. Not going to play Matt Boyd. Not going to probably. I'll be hard pressed to play a pitcher against the Dodgers all year long, but we'll see how that plays out. But it won't be Matt Boyd. Not going to play Eduardo Rodriguez. He has started the year pretty good, or that last outing was really good. But man, I remember last year we were talking about how this guy couldn't strike anybody out. I can't forget all that, so I don't think he's a guy. And get you some guys I will be playing. I will be playing Robbie Ray, mainly because of the weather. I think whatever offensive power the Yankees possess could be completely wiped out by the weather here if we get this game in. I guess we'll talk to Roth later on. But if it plays, man, this could be good for pitching right here. Or I'm certainly not gonna play Marcus Stroman on the flip side over there. But Robbie Ray, I think, has some potential to strike some guys out with some good weather to suppress some of those home runs. So I don't mind Robbie Ray. But the guy in this tier that I like the most, I think, is Taj Bradley. He's going to project okay. He's got some pretty decent numbers. He definitely has the talent and the upside. But basically, what stood out to me, just you kind of digging in, looking at everything. Well, how does the bat have him? Bat has him here. How does the RG have him? RG has him here. You go down all these like check marks, and he's got the second highest K prop of any pitcher on this slate after DeGrom tonight. He's tied with a couple guys. He's got a 6 earlier this morning, at least he did. He has a 6.5 K prop against that. That's a massive number. So that tells me something right there. Like the projection systems are kind of leaning on him a little bit. Like, okay, he's all right. And the K props say, all right, he's going to strike some guys out. This is not the same Atlanta team on offense that we've seen the last couple of years. I think Taj Bradley's my favorite in this tier right here.
Yeah, I do really like Taj Bradley here as well. He and Robbie Ray feel like the two guys that have the highest upside, but also the lowest floors on the slate. For Ray, obviously, he has the Yankees, and while the weather does favor him, as long as it plays, it's still the Yankees. But for Bradley, I like him better, and I like the matchup better against the Braves. But it's also going to be really nice. It's going to be pretty nice weather there. It's going to be 10-mile-an-hour winds blowing out to center. And so I do fear Taj Bradley, but I think he's got a ton of upside tonight. It kind of feels like a game that he gives up 2, 3, hopefully not 4, but maybe 4 home runs, but strikes out 8, 9, 10 guys in this spot. And so I'm going to lean on the strikeouts. The upside is what we are looking for tournaments. And so I'm going to get to a lot of Taj Bradley as well. Would you consider any Eduardo Rodriguez tonight going up against Milwaukee? He struck out 12 in his last outing. And again, at the end of the day, I feel like all I'm really looking for on this slate is who's going to get the most strikeouts.
I don't think I'm going to go there. I mean, Milwaukee hasn't been particularly good on offense this year. I give them that. But I just, you get this thing in your head where sometimes you see a guy and you see him enough, and the history, you can't erase it. And last year he was struggling to miss bats, and I just can't go with the one start and offset everything I saw last year. So I'm probably not on Rodriguez as much.
Yeah, same page as me tonight. So many options. He is going to be one of the group that gets cut. There are 2 guys with some tags in lineup HQ today for some salary saving options at pitcher in the 7K range. One at the top, Mitchell Parker. One all the way at the bottom, Reese Olson. Olson looks like he's probably going to be the preferred spend down SB2 today, either him or Festa, who we will get to. Start with Reese Olson and then tell me what you think about Mitchell Parker, who Stevie's got tagged tonight.
I actually do have Reese Olson as a guy I want to play tonight at this salary. He's I don't think the Twins are a particularly tough matchup, and Reese Olson has some pretty decent floor. I don't think he's ever going to be a big time strikeout pitcher. he's always going to hover around 22% or so in his career, and that's fine. That gets you there at 7,100 on DraftKings on a night like tonight. I think that makes for a good SP2 in a relatively good matchup. So I do have some interest in Reese Olson right there. And as far as Mitchell Parker, he gets a fantastic matchup, and he's got pretty good stuff. So I'm going to talk about the Miami stack and where I'm going to rank them later on. But suffice to say, I think there's a world where you play some Mitchell Parker and you have very limited, but you have some Miami small stacks, and I'll get to that later. But yeah, I do like Mitchell Parker in that match. Anytime you get matchups like that, you got to look at them pretty hard and heavy.
Yeah, agreed. He's somebody I'm going to be including in my pool as well. Let's talk about the other SP2 option who's going to be picking up some ownership tonight. Same game as Reese Olson, and that is David Festa making his first start of the season. Going up against the Tigers, he's looked fine from a strikeout perspective in AAA so far this year, but has struggled from a run prevention perspective. He had a very high strikeout rate last year when he played, 27.8%. We are a little concerned with the pitch count, though. It looks like it's only around 80, 85, depending on the projected pitch count, depending on where you look. So what are your thoughts on a 6,500 David Festa?
I think he's more than viable here. I think it's a really cheap price, and you can live with the limited pitch count for this price tag. Great matchup against Detroit. You know, if you're having problems suppressing runs, you want to get in a matchup like this against a team that has a hard time, a lot of times, scoring runs. Like for the price tag, you look at his projection. I'm not gonna, I don't like in baseball. It's just a guideline projections. You should never be like optimizing things in baseball and then trying to run that lineup. But if you did try to optimize lineups, I got a feeling he'd be like 100% locked in as one of your pitchers because he's just so cheap with a really good projection. So just because of that, I would definitely say that he's in play. And yeah, he's last year showed strikeout upside, and just got to keep the runs to 2-3 runs. Get the rack up those Ks for 65. He can end up on the optimal. I like that one quite a bit.
Couple other guys that, as Cheese would call them, cheap nonsense. One of them being mentioned in chat, Konovich. He's $6,800 on DraftKings going up against your Astros. Doesn't really strike anybody out. You got Sean Newcomb going up against the White Sox in a good matchup. You got Marquez outside of Coors Field. The Padres have a few good bats, and then it falls off really, really hard. Are you going to mess around with any of this cheap nonsense tonight, sub 7K?
I am not outside of the Festa we called, but all that other stuff, it's a pass for me. I mean, the one I would say I could look at and go, man, can I do that? Maybe. And I'm not even going to do that would be Marquez, But San Diego's I think Cronenworth's going to miss tonight. So, but yeah, I don't think I'm going to do that, but he's super cheap and he's had good stuff in the past. We'll see but none of this other stuff really does anything for me. So I think those guys are a hard pass for me.
Before we do our recap, kind of rank our top pitchers on the slate, let's drop clue number 2 for Film Friday. The first clue was family. The second clue, Hollywood. Hollywood is the second clue. Get your guesses into the RotoGrinders live stream Discord chat. If you get one guess per clue, if you win, you get one free week of RotoGrinders Premium. Plus, keep smashing the like button for some Spidey Bombs. We'll be dropping them every 50 likes. We do have enough likes for Spidey Bomb number 1. We'll go second one at 100, third one at 150, etc. Maybe even 2 at 150 if I'm feeling generous. But Spidey Bomb number 1 today, we got to break the couple day cold streak, and so we're going with a somewhat obvious one for the first one, but we'll get sneakier as we go. Plus 325, Pete Alonso is Spidey Bomb number 1. His first appearance on the Spidey Bombs of the season. Big Meat Pete, Spidey Bomb number 1. Keep smashing that like button for more. All right. Chop. So first, starting on DraftKings, and then I want to talk FanDuel too, because we did have a few questions of people wondering who your favorite low-owned pitcher on FanDuel is tonight. But first up, from a DraftKings perspective, give me your summary of pitching, your recap of who your top options are, kind of 3, 4, 5 options tonight.
All right, DraftKings. So 13 game slate. I'm typically not going to worry too much about the salaries on the pitchers because there's so many offenses out there and you're going to stack. And baseball is the thing where I'll often find myself making lineups and then I look back and go, damn, I left $2,000 on the table and I don't even change it. It's like, who cares? This is baseball. You just want to stack. So I'm not worried about salary. So I'll be very heavily invested in Jacob deGrom tonight. Very heavily invested on Nick Pivetta. I like Taj Bradley also. Those two guys are in a tier by themselves. Then I drop down a tier for Bradley and Robbie Ray and Bryce Miller. Those three guys. Miller because of his home ballpark, Robbie Ray because of the weather. I actually like that a little bit of, and Taj Bradley because he can strike guys out. And if you can get big strikeouts, I'm good with the other stuff. Now, after that, you can go cheap. I will go a little cheap with some Reese Olson, not a lot, but some. And then we talked about Festa as a super cheap option. I think that's viable. Those are the guys. But the tier one, DeGrom, Pivetta. Tier 2, Bradley, Miller, Ray. Tier 3, distant, Olson and Festa as salary savers.
Jose in chat asking about Edward Cabrera. Not somebody I think you want to include on the pool in the pool tonight. Coming off his first start of the season, coming off the IL with a blister. And that is just so tricky with pitchers. He only threw 53 pitches in his rehab start. I don't think he's going to get close enough to a full allotment of pitches to be viable on such a big slate tonight. So no Cabrera for me. In terms of my favorite pitchers tonight, I think I actually might, as crazy as it sounds, prefer Nick Pivetta over Jacob deGrom. I do really like Taj Bradley and Robbie Ray for large field tournaments, for their ceilings, but I do really fear their downside. My favorite of the sub 8K options, Mitchell Parker, Reese Olson, David Festa. But unlike Chop, I think I actually might take some shots on Sean Newcomb and Hernan Marquez as well, just because they're so cheap. If they get me 18, 19 points, that could be enough tonight, so I can get some spend ups for my bats. Keep smashing the like button for some more Spidey Bombs. Let's see how far we are away from Spidey Bomb number 2. Still about 30 away, so keep hitting, caressing, smashing, clicking, whatever you like to do with the like button. That is all we ask. We got 2 clues out there for Film Friday already. Family and Hollywood. No one, including Chop, has guessed it yet. But we do have clue 3 coming up here shortly. Before we get to clue number 3, I do want to say that it is still time, even though the Masters has already happened. Is already happening. You can still take advantage of free lineup HQ for golf over on RotoGrinders. The battle for the jacket is heating up in Augusta. There's no better place to sweat the action than DraftKings Daily Fantasy. So if you're sweating the Masters over there, you can take, or say your Masters lineups are toast and you want to do some showdown, you can take the free golf product for lineup HQ right now. All you got to do is sign up for a free RotoGrinders account, not a paid RotoGrinders account, just a free one. Link in the description right down there. Plus, the MLB DFS annual option is $425. However, we dropped the price of our Combo Pro product to mirror the MLB annual package. Might as well get more stuff for the same price, right? Combo Pro gives you 6 month. Combo Pro 6 month gives you full access to our content, tools, and projections for every sport except for NASCAR at a cheaper price than the monthly package. You'd actually save about 35% by choosing 6 month instead of monthly. Sign up now for MLB projections, NBA content, PGA data, and more. Or if you don't want the full package, you can still check out Props and Pick'em for a discount. Props and Pick'em package features daily prop picks and fantasy Pick'em selections from many of your favorite RotoGrinders experts. Plus, we're knocking 50% off the price of your first month when you sign up at the link down there below. Chop, anything else at pitcher or just in general before we make the transition over to some tiers for tonight?
Just Real quick, the last thing I'll say is somebody was asking about FanDuel. The cheapest I go
Yeah,
on
sorry, I
Fan,
forgot. I wanted to cover FanDuel in general. So yeah,
just
absolutely.
the pricing is way different. Festa's the cheap one I would go, and I'm not even. I mentioned Olsen as a cheap one on DraftKings. That's not even on my radar really on FanDuel because he's too expensive. He's too close to the other guys. So again, same thing with DeGrom and Pavetta being top notch. Bradley takes a definite step way back for me on FanDuel because his price is so ridiculous. And still on Miller and Ray, but the cheap one, if you're looking for the cheap one, that's a like if you played Festa and he got some strikeouts for you. I mean, you could do just about anything else. You could do just about anything you want with your offense. That's just a really super cheap price over there.
Derek Carr is now dealing with a shoulder injury that threatens his availability for the season. I hate that dude, man. Get him off my team. Can't stand Derek Carr.
Oh, that's your team?
Yeah, Saints. I'm a Saints fan.
Are you? Okay, well, you know what? You're looking forward to the drafting because you might have a quarterback fall to you, man. And you'd be very,
Hopefully.
very, hopefully you do.
Fingers crossed on that one. But back to baseball. Chop, you made us a wonderful tier list today for the show. I will throw it to you to give us why you picked the list and introduce it for us.
All right. Let's bring the board up, Stevie. Let's bring the big board up. What we rank, what I ranked today, we ranked. I let TJ had some say in this too. Was Mike White in honor of the great White Lotus. Everybody loves the White Lotus TV shows on HBO, but Mike White, who like does everything for that show, he was the creator of that show. He's been in a lot of stuff as a writer, producer. He's even jumped into some acting. Sometimes he'll be like a background guy in his movie. So I just looked at all his entire body of work, everything he's done. What's some of his best and maybe not so great stuff he's done? So that's what we ranked today. And TJ chimed in and said for sure he's got to have School of Rock up top. I mean, there's no arguments for me. So I'm gonna put School of Rock up there. That was an awesome little movie right there. White Lotus is really good. Now you can say what you want about season 3, maybe not being as good as the other two. That's fine. No spoilers here, but it's still just one of the top-notch TV shows out there. Just because it just gives you 6 to 8 episodes a season, and it's just like this slow burn, and everything matters. It builds up. It's good. So White Lotus is also. Now I'm gonna go Nacho Libre number 3. I had a tough one here because I could have gone number 2. Category 2, but I'm gonna put it in number 3. I thought it had some great funny parts. Some of it missed, so I'm gonna put it in that neutral category. Now number 4 is Dawson's Creek. This could have hit the definite rock bottom here. Could have been in tier 5, except it has the great James Vanderbeek in it. And I gotta say, if anybody knows Vanderbeek, he played Jonathan Moxon, the perfect Jonathan Moxon later on in life. So we needed Dawson's Creek to get us to Jonathan Moxon. And
Ask a
then
different demographic, and I bet you that's firm up top number 1.
for sure. But then you go to the last here. Now I like the Pitch Perfect movie, the first one. Even the second one, I could watch. By the time we get to number 3, I probably had enough of it. So I'm putting it down there in that category. Feel free, and yes, Hoosiers. Nacho Libre had some great moments to it for sure. So that's why I'm neutral because great moments and some was a little bit rough, but if you could agree, you could disagree, whatever. Fire it off in chat if you got something else. He was also he did a season on Survivor too, but I didn't want to include that here. But he actually did a season. He finished second on Survivor one year, several years back. So he's been around the block.
Agreed with Pitch Perfect 3 at the bottom. I actually really, really like the first movie. Second one, I like enough. It's fun, and then the third one, it just kind of falls off a cliff. Dawson's Creek, not really for us. I can't say I've ever watched an episode, but I do remember my older sisters tuning in quite frequently to that one. This is a hot take. I think The White Lotus is really overrated. I don't think it's that good. I've watched all 3 seasons, and I have the same conclusion on all of them, is that it's very good at like bubbling up, make you feel like something real big is going to happen and get you excited for that big thing that's going to happen. And then it just doesn't. Every single season has fizzled out at the end for me. So I think White Lotus is a little overrated. I did binge it like at the same time as I was binging Reacher on Prime, and I find it so interesting how Reacher to me is this incredibly well written story, and then the character interactions are so silly, so corny, but the overall story is incredible. Whereas the White Lotus, the character interactions, incredible. Performances by the actors, absolutely incredible. And I think the overall story is just trash. I think it's trash. He just didn't do it for me. But I will say, like, the acting performances are so wildly incredible, and it does keep me invested throughout the season. They just kind of always fall flat for me at the end. I will drop clue number 3 from Film Friday, and then, yes, I promise everybody, we will get back to baseball. Don't you worry. Clue number 3 for Film Friday. First one is family. Second one is Hollywood. Get your clues into the RotoGrinders live stream Discord chat. Your guesses, I mean. Clue number 3, continuation. Continuation is clue number 3. So we got family, we got Hollywood, and we got continuation. I think somebody might get it on this one. We will see. Chop, let's start breaking down the tiers. We're getting close to Spidey Bomb number 2. Keep smashing the like button. 25 likes away. First one was Pete Alonso, for those who forgot. But first game on the slate, we have Atlanta at Tampa Bay. We talked about really liking Taj Bradley from a pitching perspective. But at the same time, in some good weather in a small park, Atlanta's got some upside going up against them too.
Yes. Yeah, let me pull up my board here. Atlanta, yeah, like you said, you could have a Bradley implosion or give up some home runs. So I'm going to put them in the third category. I'm kind of neutral on that. Tampa Bay was the one where I'm kind of looking at like that's one of the higher team totals on the day. I like it. I like the matchup here. We get a lot of hard contact against Elder. I don't think Tampa Bay is going to be super popular. I'm putting them in number 1 in the first category. We got 13 games, I think. I forget what it was, but a lot of games, a lot of teams. People are going to break wide open tonight. There's going to be offenses that get in double digits, I think. So going to have a couple teams up top, and Tampa Bay is certainly going to be one of them.
I agree with you there. They have a nice high team total. Bryce Elder is nothing to be afraid of, and they're just nice and cheap. You know, they're really easy to stack up all the way. I basically like their entire lineup 1 to 9 outside of Taylor Walls, but basically everyone else I am fully fine to play. And then on the Brave side of things, 3 feels like a good spot because they're probably either going to be 1 or 5, you know? Like, I feel like they're either going to really take it to Bradley, hit a bunch of homers, or he just strikes him out. They can't touch him, and he winds up in the pitch perfect category. So totally all good with both of those. Let's go to the next game here. We have San Francisco at the New York Yankees. Start with the Giants going up against Stroman. Historically, a very good ground ball pitcher. Not quite the pitcher that he was when he was younger, though.
Yeah. So I got, let me pull this up here. Robbie Ray against, so Roth has this as pretty poor weather today. Not a huge sample size, but bad enough to where I'm not really liking these offenses that much. But just because it is Robbie Ray and he can implode and the Yankees are good, I'm going to put New York in tier 3. Pretty neutral on it. It could happen. Stroman, the weather helps him here. He's not a big fly ball pitcher, so there's a lot of things that point towards maybe they can score some runs on him, but will it be enough to, like, if you stack them, enough to win you tournaments? I don't think so. So I'm putting San Francisco in tier 4.
No big enough qualms for me. I'd maybe have San Francisco 3, but I don't disagree with it enough to cause a stink, enough to bump it down or bump it up or anything. So I'm all good with San Francisco in 4 and the Yankees in 3. Oh, sorry. Was that Steve's pick of the Yankees in 3, or was that that you?
I put them. I was pretty neutral on them.
All right, that's what I thought. Next one, we got Washington going into Miami. Cabrera making his first start of the year. Mitchell Parker going up in a great matchup against Miami, but it's also Mitchell Parker. Both teams have exactly a 4 implied run total. Start with the Washington. Where do you got the Nationals?
Okay. Cabrera, I'm not going to pitch Cabrera tonight, but I could certainly see him being semi-effective while he's in there. And I just don't want that much to do with Washington as an offense, so I got them in tier 4. Okay, got them in tier 4. Now Miami, I have more interest in Mitchell Parker and playing him, but I'm going to put Miami in tier 3 as a mini stack. Let's say you go 2 guys in that stack, maybe 3 guys. Thing about Mitchell Parker is these pitchers on this slate today, he gave up more stolen bases last year than any of these other pitchers. He was like 20 stolen bases last year. So maybe we get there. Maybe we don't get there with power, but maybe we can 2 guys in this lineup and you can put them back to back, or you can even spread them out. You're 2 speed guys and you can grab some stolen bases and that can buoy up your secondary stack right there. So I'm going to put Miami in tier 3 despite also having interest in Mitchell.
Yeah, the other thing that's nice about a Miami stack is you can basically stack up 1 to 5 with Pivetta and DeGrom and still afford the other 3 spots in your lineup. If this game was in Washington instead of Miami, or just a better, like maybe not Washington, but just a better hitter's park in general, I think I would like the stats quite a bit better. But since it's in Miami, it does lead me towards the pitching side for Parker. I like the potential stolen base call, get some Xavier Edwards in there, maybe a little mini stack. No qualms for me there. Boston going up against the White Sox. Speaking of good hitters, Parks going into guaranteed right field. Boston's got over an implied team total of 4 going up against Davis Martin. Not a pitcher we are typically concerned about. Where do you got the Red Sox tonight?
The Red Sox are in tier number 2 for me. I don't think there's not much about Davis Martin that stands out in his profile. He's not really going to strike out a ton of guys. He's actually going to walk several guys, so he's got that. He kind of limits the hard contact on a short sample basis, but man, they got to go in tier 2. They're going to go near the top of the board in a lot of games this year because that Boston offense is real. It's the real deal, man. So I got them in tier 2 tonight against Davis Martin. I kind of like this matchup. Definitely not an imposing pitcher. On the flip side, it's the opposite with the White Sox. I don't hate the matchup. If this was a better offensive team, they'd be a lot higher up on the board. But because they're pretty weak offensively, I'm going to put them in tier 4. But Sean Newcomb, limited innings. We have a small sample on him, but the sample we do have says that he's going to walk a lot of guys and not strike out very many. That's great for stacks if you want to go that route. Like I said, I just wish it was a better offense that he was facing, but I'm going to put him in tier 4 because I just don't believe that offense is serious.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to add them there. I like Boston tonight. They've been really streaky this year. On the White Sox side of things, just because it's Sean Newcomb, I might try stacking them up there. Basically, it's like basically the same spot as Miami kind of thing, where this isn't a very good offense, but it's not a very good pitcher either. So I'm with you tonight. Not they're not a serious offense. You know, it's like the Succession meme where it's like you are not serious people. The White Sox are not a serious offense, but because they're so cheap and they're facing Sean Newcomb, I might take a shot on that. Where did you put? You had 4 for the White Sox?
I did put them in 4.
All right. Somebody saying that Roth just gave a weather update and it is not looking good in New York. Or were they referring an older one? 9 minutes ago, it's dry in New York currently, but the rain moves in before first pitch. Not a downpour, but a steady light rain, gradually increasing throughout the game. I'm not sure what the plan is. Miserable conditions for playing. Borderline, if it's even doable. Rain will be an issue tomorrow too, though lighter, and I'd expect it to be less of an issue. Kind of seems one to me where I'd play it with, like, going back to the Yankees and San Fran. Kind of one to me where I think if it plays, like if the game begins, I'll play it like normal. It doesn't really seem like one that it's it's ugly and they know it's going to be ugly and they start the game on time. I think they're probably just going to be playing the game to its conclusion. I think if this one is, it's not going to be like a called halfway through. It'll be a postponed before the game, or they just play all the way through. But we'll see. We'll let Roth handle that for us as the Crunch Time crew comes on here in about a half hour. Angels going up against your Houston Astros. Angels have been one of the hottest offenses in baseball over the last week and a bit here, going up against Ronel Blanco. And then you have the incredibly right-handed Houston Astros going up against Kahanovic. Starting with the Angels, what tier do you got him in?
Starting with the Angels against Blanco, I'm gonna put him in tier 4, and that's it's way down there compared to I think what a lot of people have. But also I'm looking at the stack ownership numbers, and that seems a little high for what I want to do with the Angels tonight. So I'm gonna bump them down because of that, and because you're facing a pitcher. He just had a rough first outing with the walks. If he can control his walks, he still can strike guys out. And he was borderline all-star last year. So I'm not going to give up on him just yet. So I'm going to go 4 for the Angels. On the flip side, talking about Houston, right-handed heavy lineup and all that good stuff, but I'm going tier 2. At some point, this lineup is going to break out. They've got good pieces in that lineup. They just all got to start hitting at one time. I'm going tier 2 for a lot of different reasons. Because of that, the potential is there, but also we've got a very small sample on this Angels starting pitcher. But over the last 76 innings or so, this guy has a 10% strikeout rate. That's not very good. You got to strike guys out at the major league level. He has pretty good control, though. He won't walk you, but I got a feeling that tonight they make some contact and just need to get it elevated and get it out of there. So I'm going tier 2 for Houston.
I could have both of these teams in 3 if it were me, but this is some pretty nice looking formation we have here on the tier list, so I can't mess with that. We just got to keep that running. Detroit at Minnesota. It's nice. I don't even really have to time kill. I can just keep going through all of these because there's so many games on this slate. We can kind of just keep it on the baseball talk the whole time. I will give clue number 4 for Movie Monday for those still playing along. We may have had someone take it in the Discord, but I'm still giving clue number 4 anyways, just to keep on guessing. But Steve, maybe take a peek over there so you know who to give a free week to. Clue number 4 is Mentor. So we have Family number 1, Hollywood number 2, Continuation number 3, Mentor is clue number 4. Just guessing for fun at this point, but we are getting close to Spidey Bum number 2. So keep hitting that like button for us. It's free content. All we ask, admittedly, chat, I love you, but you're not doing a great job of hitting the like button today. We need a little more. Take your mouse, slide it over, give it a click. If you're watching on your phone, it's more steps, but I got you covered. You find YouTube. Where is it, YouTube? There you are. Find YouTube. We're probably going to be right at the top. Ads. What is this? Right at the top. There it is. RotoGrinders, MLB DFS. You give us a click, but when you click us, here's the problem. There's the chat. The chat's in the way. How can I hit the like button if the chat's covering it? You hit the little X. You give it a click. As soon as we get 100 likes, we got Spidey Bomb number 2. Next on the tier list, we got Detroit going up against Minnesota. We talked about liking David Festa as a pitcher. We talked about liking Reese Olson as a pitcher. This game is not overly warm, making it nicer. I mean, 56. It's not that damn cold either, so it's not too bad. But Detroit and Minnesota, where do you got these stacks tonight?
Oh, man. All right. You got Festa versus Olson. I kind of dig both these pitchers a little bit to a certain extent, enough to suppress some of these runs. So for me, Minnesota is in tier 3 and Detroit's in tier 4. I do that because Minnesota is a slightly better offense than Detroit in general. Detroit's just not very good. And Festa, small sample in his career, but he's a pretty decent pitcher, and he will strike guys out, and so I like that about him. Olson, just a nice, solid pitcher. Not going to strike a ton out, but enough. Not going to give up a lot, just enough to suppress you a little bit. So I'm kind of neutral on that one. So tier 3, tier 4, that's where I got those two ranked.
No disagreements from me there. Maybe would have them both in tier 4, but kind of playable, but I don't like either of them. We did hit 100 likes. Good job, everybody. Third Spidey Bomb coming up at 150 likes, so keep hitting the like button. First one was Pete Alonso. Second Spidey Bomb of the day, we are going to formerly Oakland, now at Sacramento with a smaller ballpark, which is why we like home runs. Tyler Soderstrom, Spidey Bomb number 2. So we got Pete Alonso and Tyler Soderstrom. Third one coming at 150 likes. Let's get there before the Crunchtime crew gets here today. Philadelphia and St. Louis, 2 low totals. Palante, not a phenomenal pitcher by any means, but he's very good at getting ground balls. And then St. Louis going up against Aaron Nola, who has struggled quite mightily this year, but they do still have a low implied run total. Start with the Phillies going into St. Louis. Where would you have them?
It's a good offense. But like you said, Palante is not a terrible pitcher, man. He's not. He doesn't strike guys out, but he does just enough to make it tough on you to stack against him. So I'm kind of neutral on Philly here. So I put him in tier 3. That's just the way that's going to go. And Nola hasn't been great this year, but I'm not impressed with the St. Louis offense so far. And he's good enough here to probably put this team down in tier 4. St. Louis down in tier 4, and that's just, I'm kind of like on the fence on these two. I could see, like I said, Philly has a good offense, but I don't love this matchup for him. And then Nola, I don't think he's going to be like terrible this year. At some point, he'll rebound. St. Louis doesn't. There's not a lot on that offense I want to hammer out. So I'm in tier 4 with those guys.
I am totally fine with St. Louis in tier 4. I think I'd want Philadelphia in tier 2 just because they are such a good team. I always like them in tournaments whenever they're going to be low owned. Even in a somewhat tough matchup against Palante, I do really like them for tournaments tonight, but I'm totally okay keeping them in 3. Let's see, looking through some no questions yet that we can't hit later. All seem pretty set. I'm going to give out clue 5 for Movie Monday now, since we did already have a winner in chat in the RotoGrinders live stream Discord. Chop, you did get it as well on clue 4. I got to shout out the winner, though, J Swift 13. He didn't even guess on the first 2 clues. He just came in hot, out of nowhere, and said, I know what this one is. Bang. Creed. And the movie was, of course, Creed. Clue number 5 is Fight. Tried to make it fairly easy on the last one. But I picked Creed in honor of writer and director Ryan Coogler. Has a new movie coming out right away called Sinners. Speaking of the Pitch Perfect movies, featuring Haley Steinfeld, featuring Michael B. Jordan. It looks really, really good. Early
It does.
Critic reviews from it are just absolutely incredible. People are saying Ryan Coogler's best movie. And he's done the Creeds. He's done the Black Panthers. So really, really excited for Sinners to come out and go see that one in theaters. Film Friday, clue number 1, family. Because he is the son of Apollo Creed. And he and Rocky turn into a little family throughout this movie. Hollywood, because that is his ring name. That's what he goes by. That's his boxer name. He calls himself Hollywood. They call him Hollywood. Continuation, because it's, of course, a continuation from the Rocky movies. And number 4, mentor, because Rocky. Duh. Rocky's his mentor. Fight, because it's a boxing movie. Don't critique my punches in the screen. I don't know how to do it properly. I'm a lover, not a fighter. Next game on the slate, Milwaukee at Arizona. One of these teams I like a lot and are maybe my favorite team on the slate. The other one, they got a decent total, but I don't think I really care all that much. Talk to me about Milwaukee first. Where do you got them?
Milwaukee against Rodriguez. So this is where you kind of got to think, do you really believe in the last Eduardo Rodriguez start? Is that the beginning of a nice little run for him? Did he recapture some form? Is he healthy? I don't know. So I'm gonna say, although I don't have much interest in rostering Rodriguez, I also don't have a lot of interest in stacking against him. So I'm gonna put Milwaukee in tier four. But I certainly wouldn't hate on anybody that wanted to stack against him even more. As far as Arizona, this is going to be Quintana's first start of the year. He's probably going to be limited. It's a good offense. I'm going to put Arizona in tier two. I kind of have a little interest in Arizona here.
I will use a soul, or not the soul, maybe if there's another one, but one of my very few vetoes to bump Arizona up to 1. They are, I think, my favorite stack on the slate today. At worst, third behind 2 teams we are still going to be talking about. So I'll bump Arizona up to 1 just because I do really, really like them tonight. But Milwaukee, I'm with you. I don't want to stack against Erod. I'm totally fine dropping them all the way down to Dawson's Creek. Are we about to get our first team in Pitch Perfect 3? We got Colorado going into San Diego. Colorado's got the lowest implied run total on the slate. They suck. They're going up against a great pitcher, and they're outside of Coors. I'll throw it to you, but I think the only reason they wouldn't be in Pitch Perfect 3 would be just because of Pavetta's ownership.
It's a valid point, but no, there's no way, man. Outside of Coors Field, Colorado just terrible offense. So no, I can't. I'm never I hate stacking them. And I think their lineup is missing Doyle today, who's
Yeah, the lineup's trash.
one of the few guys that are actually decent. So yeah, I got them in tier 5. I do not want any piece of Colorado here.
Bean and Farmer are the first 2 hitters for the Rockies today.
Yeah, it's brutal, rough stuff. But then we flip it over to San Diego. I'm gonna put San Diego in tier 2. Marquez, man, he has such potential, man. A few years ago, I liked a lot of what I saw. I liked a lot of what I saw out of him. And I'm not going to say he caught the draft cheat jinx, but draft cheat for people, this is old school. If you remember draft cheat at RotoGrinders, you know what I'm talking about. Moonshots and all that. He did the whole Marquez is going to be a Hall of Famer one time, and the next thing you know, Marquez that was it for him. He just fell off a cliff. He's got pretty rough numbers here. Been injured quite a bit the last few years. I'm putting San Diego in tier 2. They've got some good weapons in that lineup, so I got them in tier 2.
I am not quite as high on the Padres. I do like Marquez a little bit today just because the back half of that lineup is so bad. Like, I will play Tatis and Machado. There's nobody else in that lineup I really have all that much interest in playing today. Yes, Nate Lowe was scratched. Thank you, Derek. So if you had him in your Washington stacks, if you had any Washington stacks, get him out of there because he will not be in the lineup. How many likes are we at here? How close are we to Spidey Bomb number 3? Come on, people. We got to do better. Smash that like button. Caress it. Touch it. Click it. Get us up to 150 likes. It's free content on a Friday. All we ask is that you hit that like button for us. Let's continue our tier list. How many games left? We got 3 games left on the slate. After that, we'll do a little pitching recap. Chop's got some home run calls for us. And then we'll have the Crunchtime crew coming in. Bop it. Bop that like button. Great call. Twist it. Pull it. Whatever you got to do just to make sure that video is liked. Texas going into Seattle. 2 low totals. 2 good pitchers. Terrible park for hitters. Where do you got Texas and Seattle?
Not really pulling any punches here, man. Not doing anything crazy. Seattle against DeGrom. I mean, DeGrom is the results, like fantasies points haven't been there for him, but he's still at times looking really solid. So Seattle's a tier 5 for me. Texas is a tier 4. If there is one of these pitchers that's going to kind of vaguely break down a little bit, it could be Bryce Miller, even though, we're in Seattle, which is going to benefit him a whole lot. And so, but 2 good pitchers, bad ballpark, like you said. Tier 5 for Seattle, down at the bottom. Tier 4 for Texas, just in case, because they do have some really good hitters in the lineup and all that good stuff, but not interested, to be honest with you, on my 50 lineups. I don't think you'll see a stack of either one of these teams, any kind of stack.
No, Texas has got some power there, even in that park. And Miller's looked rough to start the year, so I'm okay with the idea of a Texas stack. But I'm with you. Tier 4 for me. Seattle, a clear Tier 5 team. However, this next game, kind of the opposite of the one that we just covered. There's Charles Barkley with a shake weight per request from the chat. Steve, the absolute goat to getting gifts up there on time. We are less than 20 likes away from Spidey Bomb number 3, so keep hitting that like button. I want to be able to give it by the time we are done our tier list. We got the Mets, Steve's Mets, going up against the Athletics. I hate to bury the lead, but I'm going to do it. Oh, wait, no, that's reverse. Anyways, both these teams are tier 1 for me today. But I'll let you take it away. Where do you got the Mets and the A's?
Start off with the Mets. I definitely got the Mets in tier 1. Big team total coming down on them. And, just everything about the Mets seems it's a really powerful offense. Lots of good stuff going on. Going up against a pitcher that doesn't do anything for me. Gives up a lot of fly balls too. And so the Mets are definitely in tier 1. Oakland, I was kind of torn between tier 1 or tier 2. I put them in tier 2, but because you like them so much, I'm going to go ahead and override my own rankings and put them in tier 1. Griffin Canning has been okay at points in his career. Right now, the numbers don't look great. He is giving up a lot of hard contact, not striking guys out. Will walk a few guys. Those are all bad things. And the Oakland lineup is actually pretty decent this year. Pretty decent. And this ballpark is pretty good for some offense. So I'll put Oakland in tier 1 also. Both of them will go in tier 1. Clearly, when you got a situation like that, you could game stack, man, and just hope we get deep into the bullpens and we get some bad pitching tonight, and that's how you win it all. I've done that before in MLB.
Question from Alexander in chat. He is new to MLB. When if you're playing a lot of lineups and you're looking at these stacks, are you bumping up our top tier stacks and projections, or are you leaving them as is? And then secondly, are you focusing on your stacks more of the heart of the order, or are you okay playing back half teams too?
Are we
back
bumping
half the lineup? Sorry.
Okay, if we're talking about bumping the entire team or the meat of the order, you never want to. Listen, the thing about stacking is that you do it because you're hoping for an anomaly of a game. You look at I don't know how many thousands of games are played every year. Like scoring 10 runs isn't a common thing, and maybe when we get to the summer and you're in cores, it happens more often, but you're looking for an anomaly. And what that means that the starting pitcher has a poor outing. But not just that, the bullpen has to come in and have a poor outing also. Some poor guy has to come in out of the bullpen and get lit up. It's an anomaly. So with that, don't stick to just the meat of the order. Go 1 through 9, man. Just however you want to play it. If some people space it out, some people like it 2, 3, 4, 5, or 4, 5, 6 because they want the correlation too. I'm not as much on the correlation. I'm on the anomaly part of it. I just want 10 runs, and if this team scores that many runs, 4 or 5 guys in this lineup are going to make it happen. I don't care if I take the first hitter, the fourth hitter, the seventh and the ninth, a 4-man stack or something like that, or 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, whatever it is. No, I'm gonna spread it out throughout the course of the entire lineup and hope I get a lot of runs in that game. And that's just that's just what I think about it.
I don't disagree at all. And to add to that, one of my favorite times to play that back half of the lineup, specifically the 6, 7, 8, 9 hitters, are when you have, say, a game in Coors, or even tonight, not tonight's a bad example because there's no team that's going to be really chalky because it's a 13-game slate. But on a smaller slate, when you have one team that's in a phenomenal spot, but they're going to be chalk, it's typically just the top half of their lineup that's chalk. And so I'll still play the team in a great spot, but I'll play the back half of their lineup and pull some guys that are much lower owned than the guys at the top of the lineup. Final game on the slate to go through for tiers. We got the Cubs going up against the Dodgers. Cubs going up against a very tough pitcher, but they have been a very good offense this year. Let's start with them. Where do you got the Cubs?
I mean, you just kind of summed up my point that I was going to make, which is I'm going to put the Cubs in tier 3. I think normally, a team going against this caliber starting pitcher would be 4 or 5, but I'll put the Cubs in tier 3 because number one, Yamamoto is going to be a top 3 or 4 owned pitcher on the slate. So we got the leverage aspect of it. Number two, the stack for the Cubs is going to be very low owned. Again, nice little leverage spot there. What if they do blow up? You're going to put I don't know what his ownership's going to be, somewhere between 12 and 16% maybe. 12, 16% of the field. If the Cubs blow up, you'll get rid of them because they got Yamamoto, and you'll be in a good spot because you got the Cubs at 2% stack ownerships or whatever the number we got that at. So I like that. Cubs are a good team anyway. Offensively, they can do a lot of damage, man. Not just via the home run, via the base paths too. They got a lot of outs right there. So I'm going to put Cubs in tier 3. LA is just a powerhouse. I'm going to put them in tier 2. It's not a overly, imposing matchup. So I'm going to put the Dodgers in tier 2, and that's going to be like that for most of the year with those guys.
Agreed, 100%. We knew going into the season the Dodgers would be a stack every time they're on the slate kind of team. I think more surprisingly, we knew they'd be good, but I think more surprisingly, this Cubs team has already turned into, if you're playing lots of lineups, you always have to have a Cubs stack.
They went out in the offseason, man, and they made some good moves, and it's paying off. And so, yeah, I agree. The Cubs are on their way up offensively.
Crazy what a Kyle Tucker in the middle of your lineup will do for you. We got Tampa Bay, Arizona, New York Mets, and the Athletics as the 4 teams in tier 1. We have Houston, the Red Sox, the Padres, and the Dodgers in tier 2. 4 teams in each. Braves, Yankees, Marlins, Twins, Phillies, and Cubs in tier 3. Tier 3, basically, I feel like the Marlins and the Twins are out of place there a little bit because the Braves, the Yankees, the Phillies, and the Cubs, all 4 of them are these are tough matchups, but they're also really good offenses. And so we got to at least get a piece of them. And then in Dawson's Creek, tier 4, we got the Giants, the Nats, the White Sox, the Angels, the Tigers, the Cardinals, the Brewers, and the Rangers. And then all alone down there in Pitch Perfect 3, 2 teams only, the Colorado Rockies, and the Seattle Mariners. The only 2 teams that are just straight up, don't play these guys today. There's absolutely no reason to play these guys today. Chop, before we get to some home run picks, we are very close to Spidey Bomb number 3. 4 likes away. Ooh. I think it's almost time for some knockers as well. Before that, why don't you give me a little recap of who your top pitchers are for both FanDuel and DraftKings tonight for those who tuned in a little late?
Yeah, my top pitchers are going to be the same for both sites. The guys after that are the ones that start to get a little bit spread out because of the salary. But and Butthole was asking this question in chat just now: what 2 pitchers you playing on DK? I mean, I do try to break up my pitching to where. So my favorite 2, DeGrom and Pivetta. If I'm running 10 lineups, I do want DeGrom and Pivetta on a few of those lineups together. And then I do want DeGrom with a Bryce Miller one time and Pivetta with a Robbie Ray one time. I just kind of spread it out a little bit in GPPs. But my 2 favorites tonight, DeGrom, Pivetta, I think spinning up on those 2 guys is really easy tonight. So that's where I would go with that one, Butthole, and for anybody else. And, if you're looking to save some money, I think on both sites, Festa is probably the top save option, right? The save money option.
We did just get another tweet from Roth, and again, he's going to be on the show here in 5-10 minutes, so we'll get an official word from him. But he says, my official guess, and let's be honest, it's just a guess, is that they will not play in New York. A batch of pretty legit rain is moving in. I think they get a taste of that rain and realize how nasty trying to play tonight would be. So personally, for me, it's a 12-game slate. I just don't think there's any need to play anybody in that game, pitchers or batters. If there's a risk of that not playing, when there's so many games on this slate, I think we just hit the X button on that one.
Yeah, that's an easy choice because we don't even like the hitters anyway. Like,
Yeah.
and the pitchers aren't even that good. But I'll tell you what, I do got the BVP suggestion of the day today. Starting to kind of get back into some stuff here. So the BVP suggestion of the day, again, this isn't the play of the day. I can't tell you that these guys are all going to do well, but it's just a suggestion. But this was a clear one for me, and it's Manny Machado. It was Manny Machado, the BVP suggestion of the day. You do with that as you want. Then I got some knockers. I was waiting on some lineups to come out. I didn't get them all yet. So I'm going to venture down here to God, I would hate to give out some knockers and then they don't, and then these guys don't make the lineup. But I got this pairing that I really like tonight. It's in that Arizona game. It's Randall Grichuk and Eugenio Suarez. Should be batting somewhere around between 4 and 6 between the two of them, so they're close enough together. You get a little correlation there. You get a little tight knocker action in there, and so we'll see how they play it out. But I like the Arizona stack against Quintana and this bullpen tonight. We'll see how it plays out.
Let's see if we've hit 150 likes for Spidey Bomb number 3. We have. Great job, everybody. I was actually thinking about using Eugenio Suarez as a Spidey Bomb, so love that pick there. But Spidey Bomb number 3, we are going with Tommy Edman for the Dodgers, hitting with a lot of power this year. Hits with more power on the right side than he does the left. Tommy Edman is Spidey Bomb number 3. So we have Pete Alonso, Tyler Soderstrom, and Tommy Edman. For your knockers, you got Randall Grichuk and Eugenio Suarez. Should have the Crunchtime crew popping in here any minute. I'm trying to think about what else we should, damn, we got well over 500 people watching here. If we can get up to 200 likes, I got a 4th Spidey Bomb for the people. So all you got to do is just give it a little click. Everybody who tuned in, you weren't here for the Movie Monday. You weren't here for the things at the beginning of the show. That's all right. We still need you to hit that like button because if I'm still here when we get up to 200, I got another Spidey Bomb for the people. Number 4. Crunchtime crew isn't here as a whole yet, but I think we'll break in the first couple, and at the very least, Roth can give us an update on that New York weather. Let's bring him in. Roth, Cheese, how you doing today? Did you see the tier board? Did you see the film Friday? Did you have any guesses in there?
I missed the board. I came in right after, I guess we missed, and then I was actually over there swapping out Yankees while you guys are finishing. Oh, there it is.
So it was Mike White projects in honor of White Lotus coming to a close.
Tell what was okay? What's the board exactly? What was the definition of the board, or am I supposed to guess?
Chop, I'll leave it to you since it was your board.
It's no, you're not supposed to guess, man. It's a tier board. It's so White Lotus. Have you heard of White Lotus?
But yes.
Okay, it's a Mike White show. He's the brainchild behind that. So we just ranked Mike White projects in the past from good to bad.
Okay.
Since he's getting a lot of notoriety right now because of White Lotus. So these are all things that he either produced, direct. Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha.
So all these things he either produced, directed, wrote, or he's even had some acting roles in some of his movies.
I follow. So I just need to say this about the list. I don't disagree with it at all. And this is one of those things in my life that I would never try to tell anyone else that they're wrong about because they're all right and I'm wrong, but I freaking love Dawson's Creek. Still love it.
The Discord chat was saying the same thing of like a heartbreaking to see Dawson's Creek so low because the Discord chat was very high on it as well. It missed me, but both of my sisters were huge fans.
Yeah, I mean, you had to be right at that age when it was on. It doesn't work now. Like if you missed it at the time, you missed it. But goodness gracious. Yeah, love it.
Roth, I think this is the first true stress game of the season. How you doing?
I'm good. I mean, we already had one postponement that I called, had that bad boy as red. I think we had one a couple days ago, had as red. That postponed too, right, Cheese?
Yeah, that was great. I mean, you saved me a lot of time. When I see the red on there, I don't even put it in the musings. I don't do research. It saves me, 30 every time you put it in there, I just skip that game, and every time it works.
Love that.
And if it ever doesn't, I pop back in later and update it.
There you go.
This one's looking like there's a chance it might go right to the wire.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's it's going to rain all night in New York. It seems like they want to play, but it's about to rain pretty hard in New York. So I'm not sure they're going to be able to, even if they want to. And it's clear they do. I wouldn't play it. But if we're 5 minutes before lock and there's not a tarp on the field and there's players warming up, then shit. I guess they're going to do it. But we'll just have to monitor, is there a tarp on? Is there players warming up? We'll see what the trends show us leading up to first pitch. That should be pretty telling, really. I think that's the best I can do.
Makes sense to me. I was back in the gym shooting hoops today, Roth. It's looking like it's over for you before it's even begun, my friend.
Damn. I love that for you. Honestly, I'm not even mad. I'm happy for you that I won't fully shut you out. It'll be like 11-2. I'll give you a 3. I'll give you a bucket.
Oh yeah, you better only give me one, because if you back off, you're not getting the ball back. But I'm running out of things to say before Noto gets here, if I'm being totally honest with you.
You're good. I have plenty to talk about. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
All right.
We can talk about Dawson's Creek for a few extra minutes and do some baseball.
Katie Holmes. Was that her, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Before Tom Cruise did whatever he did to her and ruined that.
Yeah. Shame. Crying shame.
What a weird guy that turned out to be. That's a whole other conversation for another time.
Tom Cruise is a wildly beloved guy for how weird he is. And known how weird he is. It's been very publicized, all the weird, crazy shit that he's done. But because he's like a movie star who does his own stunts and just loves the cinema, he gets gets a pass for it.
He is a really likable and good actor.
Yeah. At this level, at this age, is fantastic.
Yeah.
He's good. As weird as you want at that point.
Yep. Agreed. All right, TJ, Chop, why don't you all bounce out of here? I'll hang out with Dave and we'll get Noto in just a bit.
Sounds good. Good luck, fellas.
Thank you. Welcome to it, ladies and gents. You know the drill. It's crunch time. It's 2 of the sharpest minds in the biz. Currently, soon it will be 3 of the sharpest minds in the biz. Dave Potts, my good friend. Cheeseisgood in the house. What up, Cheese?
Not much. The first sort of standard big old Friday night slate with 13 down to 12, maybe down to 11 games, but a lot of games.
A lot of games, and that's good because that means we're not forced to play the ugly games, which I like. Keep in mind, if you do want to play New York, not only is there a chance that it rains out, but also it's cold and winds are blowing in. It is the crappiest weather for hitting on the whole slate. So it's not great in any real capacity. I don't think I would play it at this point, but again, like I said, if we're 5 minutes before lock and there's players warming up and there's no tarp on the field, then they're just going to do it. They're just going to play in terrible weather, and they are totally allowed to do that. I had somebody bitching to me already. Cheese, sorry about the language. They were mad at me last night for Atlanta. They were mad at me today for Baltimore. I don't know how much better I can do and get yelled at.
They're mad at you today for Baltimore?
Yeah. I don't even know why.
What does that even mean?
I don't know.
What does that even mean? You were literally exactly correct.
I don't know. I can't keep up. I need to be more generous with the ban hammer on X. It's a cesspool. But anyways, hey, we got Noto in the house as well. What up, Noto? How are you?
Yeah, doing well. Just sweating some Masters lineups over here. How you guys doing? Happy Friday.
Good.
Same,
man. No, let's talk about my Masters line. My single entry in the Millie.
Yeah.
Probably not going to win, but I'm probably going to get. I could crack the top 100K if everything goes well this weekend. Not $100,000 but the top 100,000 play, like 99,000. Yeah. Right. It's possible. It's in the running to have.
Hey, that's top 25%. That's not bad.
Yeah. Are you getting all 6 through? Cheese?
Are you supposed to? I have literally over half of my guys are going through. Literally over.
Hey, that's good. That's good stuff. Noto, how's your lineup doing? We will jump into some baseball just a bit, by the way. But I want to update. How you going to win us? You going to win some money here for the Masters?
And sweating Keegan over here. 2 holes left. Needs 2 pars. Just drove it in the trees. So, that's how it always goes.
Damn it, Keegan! Come on.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's talk about the baseball. The 2 weather things to think about would be 1 in New York. Again, I'll give you an update once I see what their game plan is. I think it's pretty risky. And then 2, in Tampa, I love the hitting weather there. We've seen that this ballpark is super wind sensitive, which makes sense because it's a smaller ballpark. It's not all built up with grandstands all around it. Winds are blowing out. It's 80 degrees. It's everything that you want in hitting weather in Tampa. And I love that. So that is my favorite spot for bats. New York would be my least favorite because it's cold, it's windy, and it's raining. And that's it. That's kind of my part for now. I'm going to be spending a lot of the show on Twitter and on Radar and trying to see what's going on in New York. But Cheese, why don't you give us a rundown on what's happening here with the slate and especially with pitchers?
Yeah. Well, let me just start by saying I'm not playing any Yankees or Giants pitchers or hitters. You barely needed that game anyway. Like Aaron Judge, even in this weather, would have been a very good play, and a few Yankee stacks would have been. And say, oh, all the weather went away. Like I don't see any reason to play anything in that game. Like just, I mean, you're welcome to, but I have 0, so I'm not even going to mention them. So the main takeaway for me on both sides, pitching and hitting, it's kind of a remarkably small pool that I have for such a big slate. On the pitching side, we'll start on DraftKings. About 98% of my lineups only have 4 pitchers. It's Pivetta and DeGrom up top, and then it's that's it. And then I have like just a light skosh of Taj Bradley, Bryce Miller. I think that's it. I just don't think you need to goof around.
Okay. Cheese, you are having some buffering issues a little bit. I think that all came through pretty clearly, but there are chances during the show I may need you to kind of repeat yourself a little. In fact, if you could run through them one more time, Crazy Coop said that would be great. I caught most of it, I thought, but try it again. Yeah.
Okay. If it keeps doing that, I can try replugging in. I feel like my computer switched to Wi-Fi at some point from being plugged in, but I don't understand how computers work either. That's part of the issue.
It sounds pretty good now. Give it another go real quick.
88. Nope. 98. Fix that. 98% of my DK lineups only have 4 pitchers. Pivetta, DeGrom, up top, Olsen, and Festa. That's it. That's who I'm playing. I have just a couple, Taj Bradley and Bryce Miller. That's it. Like, essentially, I'm playing Pivetta, DeGrom, and then if I need savings, Olsen and Festa, slightly into Olsen. That's it. That's all I'm doing.
Okay. Well, that was crystal clear for what it's worth. So I think you're good there.
I would not I have no issue if you're playing Yamamoto or more Bryce Miller than me or more Taj Bradley. There's plenty of other names. It's a big slate, but I don't think you need to goof around. Like if you can afford DeGrom and Pivetta, just do that.
Okay. Noto, what are you doing here, pitcher-wise?
I am not playing baseball tonight, so I'm doing whatever Cheese tells me to do.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, then it's just
he's playing.
I'm relaxing until NBA time.
Okay. I forgot. Okay. This is, by the way, the final split sport slate that we have because playoffs start for NBA next week, which I'm super excited about. I know.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
And before we move on, let's go ahead and touch on Aaron Nola because I see an Aaron Nola question.
Yeah, why no Nola?
And before the Aaron Nola question, someone else said, "Can we talk about Nola taking a nosedive?" That's why no Nola. Like this guy has been steadily declining 3 years in a row, and it looks like the decline is going to continue. Like he's anymore. He's not bad. Like at this point, all the numbers say he is simply an average pitcher, and an average pitcher can be very good. And he'll have plenty of good starts. He's still good. He's still got plenty of leash. He'll throw a few 7 or 8 innings, 1 or 2 run games just because he throws strikes. But he's just not the guy he used to be. And the numbers have declined year after year after year. So I have 0.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about the bats and the stacks. I told you my favorite is whatever the hell's happening in Tampa. But I don't know if there's actually hitters there. That's part of it, Cheese. You need more than the weather.
Yeah, it's one of those games that's in the mix, but not at the top of the mix. Because Taj Bradley is pitching for Tampa. He's my number 5 pitcher. He was that one guy I said, other than those 4, he's my next guy in. But he's also facing the Braves do have plenty of power. I don't mind some Braves. And then I do like the Tampa lefty stack, at least a mini stack. But But overall, like the Mets are far and away the top team and the chalk. I think that's the only spot you have to worry about ownership. If you're playing like single entry or smaller stuff and you're playing the Mets, yeah, it's you and everybody else playing the Mets. So if you're doing that, the guys playing, you're playing around the Mets, try to be something different. Also, the A's on the other side of that game, the Dodgers, the Red Sox, those are my favorite teams. And then there's a bunch of cheap teams that if you want to get Pavetta DeGrom with whoever your favorite bats are, say you want to play Ohtani and Betts or you want to play Alvarez and Trout, we've got like Marlins, White Sox, Nationals type teams who are kind of like nonsense teams, but facing pitchers that you can see a case for why they'd blow up, and they're cheap.
Yeah. Okay. You mentioned the Sacramento, the A's, the no longer Oakland A's. And when I mentioned Tampa and the winds blowing out and the warm weather, I should throw that in the mix as well. When winds are blowing out there, it's another one of those like kind of minor league parks, super wind sensitive. Winds are blowing out. Temperatures are warm. It's going to be a very good hitting spot as well. So that makes sense that those spots are a little chalkier. Let's go around the horn. A's and Mets are going to score a total of 100 runs. I'm on board with that. Yes.
Absolutely. That sounds right. I don't.
The likely outcome, I'd say.
Yeah, that's most likely 100, but it could be less.
Yeah, it's possible. All right, let's go around the horn. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube, hit us with the thumbs up. This content is free, even though it's like two of the actual sharpest minds in the entire industry giving you this content. And it's free so that we can get more eyeballs. And we can only do that if you hit the thumbs up. So hit the like, hit the subscribe. It would be a favor to all three of us. Cheese, what do we like at the catcher?
Let me say this before we start going through the infield. Every position until we get to outfield has basically 3 to 5 players that I love and then just drops off a cliff. Oh. So it's kind of like pitching. I'm going to give you a few names, but I'm not going to give you a ton of names because it's really like I just really have some pretty clear dividing lines everywhere other than outfield.
That's good for everybody involved. I'm in on that.
Yeah. So at catcher, to me, this is a spend up at catcher outside of you can punt a guy in your stack. But for me, it's Shea Langelier, of course. They're in the good weather game. It's Logan O'Hoppe and it's Will Smith. And then, though I don't like the Brewers overall, I like Contreras.
Okay. How about first?
Those are my catchers. Okay. Pete Alonso is one of the – he should be super chalky, although he's just expensive enough that maybe he's not. Probably Lindor and Vientos are more chalky than him, but like he's the guy you want. I think he gets more ownership than what we're showing. But to me, he's far and away the best guy. Soderstrom is next. Like Ohtani, if you can fit Ohtani, great. But Alonso's cheaper and you can just play Alonso. And then we've got this little group of okay to play on their own against pretty good pitchers with Matt Olson, Bryce Harper. You could do Naylor against a lefty or Christian Walker. Like those guys are fine-ish. But essentially Olson or Ohtani, Soderstrom. And then going down, for me, it's Aranda or Andrew Vaughn if you need it cheapy.
Yeah. Okay. That brings us to second base. By the way, somebody said, hey, no love for Mitchell Parker. And someone else in the chat said, I'm playing Parker. You got no love for MGs?
I don't. He's fine. He's facing the Marlins. So that's you don't need anything more than that. Last year he was an average pitcher and he's facing the Marlins. So have at it. I so vastly prefer Reese Olson. Just based on how bad Parker looks at this second. But yes, he's in play. I wouldn't yell at you at all.
Okay. I think we're at second base, Cheese.
Second base, Brandon Lau, especially on FanDuel where he's only 3,100, is a standout play. Although you can also play Mookie Betts at second on FanDuel. But those guys far ahead of the pack on the FanDuel side. On DK, I still like Lau, but he's a little harder to get. And then I like saving money if you're not playing Lau. Well, Bregman and Edman are okay, but a little bit more in stacky for me. I like Luis Garcia and Kyron Paris as my favorite values.
Okay, that puts us at third.
Third base, we got Vientos is probably my favorite play on the slate for the salary. He'll be pretty popular, but I don't particularly care. And then Devers, Riley, and Machado, and Suarez are all right there after Vientos. So this is another pretty good spend up position. If you want to go cheap on DK, Miguel Vargas, or even all the way down to Eric Wagamama, viable just as a punt.
Good old Wagamama. All right, how about shortstop?
So Francisco Lindor, I think will probably be the chalkiest of the Mets. But this is also the position we have all the other shortstops. So I would rather fade Lindor and play Alonso and Vientos. I'm not saying you should fade Lindor. He's a great play too. But I do have some Met stacks without him and replacing him with Mookie Betts first, CJ Abrams second, Corey Seager third, Trevor Story fourth, Xavier Edwards fifth.
Easy enough. That brings us to the outfield. This is going too fast, Cheese. You got to slow it down. No,
I want to talk about basketball. I'm ready for some hoops.
Yeah.
Okay, so the outfield is the one position I do have a lot more options in every pricing tier, and it's pretty great. Most lineups, I want at least one expensive guy. I rank them Alvarez, Rooker, Trout, Tatis, Soto, Ohtani. You could put those in any order at all, and I wouldn't have any issue with it. Also, feel free to play the other expensive guys. I don't even know if I said Soto. Like, you can play Soto in a lefty-lefty and Corbin Carroll in a lefty-lefty. It doesn't really matter who they're facing. And then mid-tier-ish, we're looking mostly A's, Angels. We got Ward and Soler with Butler and Blade. I think those A's guys are going to be the chalk there. Blade more so on DK, Butler more so on FanDuel. But it's pretty decent chalk. You just don't want to play all the chalk together. Like, if you're doing the Alonso, Vientos, Lindor, maybe that's the lineup you don't play Blade and Butler. Like, just do something different with, like, the Ward and Soler, for example. We also got things like Lewis Robert and Starling Marte in that pricing. Even though I'm playing some David Vest, I think you could play Kerry Carpenter or Riley Green in that mid-tier as well. And then the super cheap stuff is pretty punty. Like, I guess I would say I like Randall Grichuk. Last I saw, we didn't have that lineup yet. I'm assuming he's in there. Gavin Sheets, same thing. I don't think we have that lineup yet, but they could both be hitting cleanup. I have a little bit of Michael Taylor, and any of the cheap Dodgers are fine, like Pajes and Hernandez. It's all fine.
Okay, it's all good. Who is Cheese's top second, assuming Lau or Low? Nobody knows.
Yeah, it's Lau, kind of by a lot, unless you can afford bets on FanDuel. But yeah, it's Lau.
Yeah. Quick note, I've been talking with a Yankees beat reporter. The tarp is still currently on the field. He says if it doesn't come off in the next 10 or 15 minutes, the game won't start on time. I am concerned that if the game does not start on time, it may not start at all. But the good news is we got an in with the beat reporter on the Yankees. So hopefully I asked him if there's any progress there, if they see him pulling the tarp, to, send out a little tweet. But as of now, it's a little dicey as expected. They really want to get the game in. That's clear. They're really trying. So maybe they'll be able to do it. But Steve says Roth has connections. No big deal, bro. Usually it's like guys who work security or like hot dog vendors and stuff who hit me up. It's rare that it's a reporter. Okay, let's see. Cheese, we're getting some questions in about baseball, but also the people are clamoring for some bombs. They want home run calls. And that's what you're going to give them, Cheese, and you're going to love it.
You know that is all true, especially the loving it part.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll take the easy way out up top with Pete Alonso.
Mm-hmm.
I'll try not to take that easy of a way out with the rest of them. I'll go Taylor Ward in the mid-tier. And how about a cheap Andrew Vaughn?
Okay. Did you pick people in the Oakland? I keep calling it Oakland. In the A's and or Tampa game?
That's Pete Alonso.
Okay. There's going to be
and that was
7 to 9 home runs in those 2 games combined.
Well, that's the one I said, like, if I wasn't caring at all about being sneaky, I would have given you 3 plays from that game.
Okay. Nice. Good. I love that.
It's not only that, but like they both teams have power hitters. Like they're both teams that, like, the A's whole thing is let's hit some home runs.
Yeah, I like that. Okay. T from Loke says, "Hey, can Cheese drop his value plays for the NBA tonight? Cheese, who's your sneaky play in the NBA tonight?"
Yeah, I'm just about to tell you. This is going to be a good one.
Yeah, I bet. Uh-huh.
It says my lineup HQ for DraftKings NBA is offline.
Yeah, and you don't quite know
there
enough
it is.
To pull a random.
There it is. Yeah. There was a name I was looking at. Oh yeah, because when in doubt, you click on who we've got tagged and you look for the coolest name. So obviously it's a dude named Goga
Bitadze. Yeah, that's a good.
I was going to say Bitadze, but yeah.
Yeah. I think you may have nailed that pronunciation, actually.
Yeah. And I think Antonio Reeves played Superman in a movie, so I would play him as well.
I think.
And there's a guy named Mogbo who I think was in Jungle Book. So those 3 make for a good start.
Yeah, and those are all very solid reasonings as well. Tyler says, "Hey, Cheese, who are your A's home run picks in order of confidence? Thank you."
That's going to be Brent Rooker first. Soderstrom second, Langelier third, Blade fourth, Butler fifth. Like those 5 are so close, and like that's why we like this team is they have 5 power bats up top that all have a reasonable chance to hit a home run.
Love it. DK Tournament. Peter says, "Can we play Matt Boyd tonight? Is he your Boyd?"
I cannot. I mean, you can do whatever you want. I just don't think there's any reason why you need to try to pick on the Dodgers tonight when you have other pitchers. I do think Boyd is pretty good. Like it's not all that. I don't think he's a good pitcher. I don't think this is the time you need to worry about it.
Yeah. Matt says, "Which chalk pitcher gets chunnel caked in order of confidence of the chunnel caking?" So we're ranking based on chunnel caking confidence, not extent of the chunnel cake. Mm-hmm. It can be a lower tier chunnel caking.
Yeah, but he said chalk pitchers.
Yeah,
because there aren't that many chalk pitchers, so that's the problem. I mean, out of chalk pitchers, I mean, it would be David Festa getting channel caked by the Tigers is probably the most likely. Because the other, I can't say it would be DeGrom or Pivetta, even if they don't pitch great. Like those teams are just not good. So yeah, it's the Tigers over Festa.
Yeah. Okay. Peter wants you to run an internet speed test for the Lols. I don't know if
you want to know what's great. I actually did that before, and it seemed okay. But then, like I say, I don't know. Like I started using this Mac. That's like an Apple, right? It's got an Apple on it. That's partly I think that's a Mac. And you can't just plug the thing right in there. So then I got this little thing that you plug the little thing in, then you plug the internet into this other little thing. Sometimes it's in there. I don't know what's happening.
Those little things, the little dongles that convert the internet and the USBs, those things suck. I buy like, and I don't know how.
I don't know how I would know what it's using.
Did you turn off the Wi-Fi?
I don't know. Did I?
If you turn off,
because if I did that, I might just disappear.
I know, but yeah, if you don't turn off the Wi-Fi, it'll probably use that before your Ethernet.
This is why you're on tonight. This helps. So, all right. So next time I'll turn off the Wi-Fi before and see if I'm still on. And if I am,
right. But we could lose.
This makes perfect sense. Right. Yeah. If I do it right now, tell you what we'll do. When it's time for me to go, I'll just do that and see if I stay.
Oh, that sounds fun. Yeah. That sounds like a good way to do it. Kill Bill says, "More NBA from Cheese, please, and a new MLB DFS song. He is musically talented." Yes, he is. Cheese is good musically as well. Cheese is best musically. No, probably best DFSing. It's close.
Boy, there's no way it's voice activated. Dear computer, Wi-Fi off. I don't think it's anything.
No.
You say dear computer to start that? Is that what you do?
Yeah. Hey, computer.
Didn't do anything.
All right, let's do a couple more questions, and then we're going to pivot things over to some basketball talk here. Your favorite SP in a FanDuel single entry tournament from We Major?
I mean, honestly, I think you just play DeGrom because I think Pavetta and DeGrom split up enough of the ownership that I'm not playing the ownership game at pitcher. If you wanted to, I would say, honestly, you go up and spend up for Yamamoto, knowing that he's the other guy who's as good as them, and no one's going to play him because of the salary and matchup. So if your whole goal is to be sneaky, go up to Yamamoto. But personally, I would just play DeGrom.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Favorite stack if you want to pivot off of the Mets chalk.
Yeah, which is a pretty good idea. I'm going to say it's the Dodgers.
Okay. Peter's got 8,300 left for a pitcher on DK. Who is his play?
83. That's the tough spot because you just missed Bryce Miller there. I think Eduardo Rodriguez is fine, but really I like Reese Olson about the same. So I would go down to Reese Olson and see if you can use the money somewhere else.
Okay, we're going to take a few more baseball questions. We're going to kick it to basketball in a second. First, I want to make sure everybody's well aware the battle for the green jacket heating up in Augusta. Noto's sweating, Keegan Bradley, and there's no better place to sweat the action than DraftKings Daily Fantasy. It's the ultimate destination for fantasy golf fans. And for the year's first major, DraftKings giving all customers a shot to play free for the $1 million top prize. I think that's already happened with your next $10 deposit on the DraftKings Daily Fantasy app. RotoGrinders is also giving you a chance to use Lineup HQ for free for PGA. It's free all week long. There's single entry stuff in there. It's fantastic. All you need to do is sign up and create a RotoGrinders account, which is also free. Link is in the description. Make sure you are doing that. Noto, can we get an update on Keegan? Did he disappoint, or are we still sweating that?
It's not good. It's not good. We have a 44-footer to make the cut on 18.
Oh, shit. That's
bogeyed 17. He got us back on 16. We were all pumped, and then that's how it works. They give you a little bit of hope just to crush your dreams at the end.
Yeah. Quick question for Noto. Peter in chat mentioned the MLB grind down. Do you miss the MLB grind down? I know you miss it so much.
I don't miss either grind down. There was one point where I was writing both grind downs in the same day.
I remember.
Yeah, I don't.
That was some crazy stuff
whatsoever. I did like hand building lineups back then, but optimizers have saved us a lot from the writing perspective, at least on my end.
Yeah, not for Cheese. Cheese is still cranking out 80,000 words a day.
Still. Yeah, I mean,
still getting it.
Me, maybe that's me. Maybe it's my robot. One of us.
We don't know, right? Yeah.
After it, yeah.
Cheese, just a couple more questions. My goal was to get out of here at 5:40 for baseball, which is less than a minute away, but we'll take just a couple more here, Central Time. Favorite two pitchers in a small field single entry contest?
DeGrom, Olson.
Okay. Story or Xavier Edwards, DK Cash?
That is super duper close. When in doubt, go with the guy on the better team, which is Story. But they're both pretty good plays.
Okay. Andrew says, "Hey Roth, Freeman or Ohtani?" Is this directed? Do I get to answer it? Ohtani.
Yeah, I think you know the answer. Yeah, he got it right.
It's the big show. Favorite low 3K FanDuel outfielder, Cheese. So low 3Ks, not low owned, is what I'm gathering from that.
Okay, so yeah, that's the way that was worded. So if you can go below 3K, right below 3K, Lawrence Butler at 29 and Lewis Robert at 28. Those are two of my favorite plays. If that means you want to spend a little more than 3K, I like Taylor Ward probably the best.
Okay. We got two more questions, then we're going to bounce. In fact, maybe just one. Jerry says, Cheese, and by bounce, I mean pivot to basketball. We're not going anywhere except Cheese. Soderstrom or Rooker, FanDuel Cash?
Slight lean to Rooker there, but very close.
Okay. Very good. I am checking a little TARP update here. My contact, my plug Has not tweeted that the tarp has been removed. So he is not, I repeat, not tweeted that the tarp has been removed, which means the tarp is still on the field, which means they're probably not going to start on time. And that puts the whole, are they going to start at all, into question. I will monitor this even when we start talking about basketball. If you just want to hang out and get my weather takes throughout basketball, that's fine. I will do that as well. But Cheese, I think it is time to cut you loose, good sir. Appreciate you joining.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to cut off the Wi-Fi and see if I disappear, and then I'll leave for real.
That's fun.
Because the chances that I know, I do know how to turn off the Wi-Fi. Here we go. Here it goes.
Yeah, he's gone. He froze immediately. Later, Cheese. Yes. Can we just? I wish we should have encouraged him to. Oh, wait, came back. You fully froze.
So that must mean I was on Wi-Fi, but the thing was plugged in. So now Noto just taught me how to use computers. Is what happened.
Yeah.
I'm gonna. I should have called Noto before the show. It was glorious.
That was just incredible. You just froze immediately, and I thought it was done. We were just going to have you sitting there frozen the rest of the show. Yeah. All right, Cheese.
I'm
we
learning
appreciate
so much. All right, you guys have fun.
Cheese.
Okay.
See you. Okay, Noto, I have been just looking at radar and weather all day. I have not looked at anything NBA. I think I saw that Houston is doing the thing where they are sitting everybody, and Reed Shepherd's going to go off. And that's all I know about the slate. Is that accurate?
Yeah, basically everyone's sitting everyone unless they have something to play for. So there's a few teams playing for seeding, most of them in the Western Conference. There's like a pretty small gap between, 5th and 8th seed, something like that. So there's some teams that have something to play for, a couple other teams that are fighting for positioning in the play-in tournament. We got to go with what we know, and that's motivations. And then for the teams resting everyone, there's a ton of value, but we got to keep an eye on the starting lineups because the easiest path for those cheap guys to get there is if they're starting. There's just an easier path for them to play 30-plus minutes, which is kind of what we're looking for with value plays.
Is it one of those slates where we're going to have the value, we're going to have the Reed Shepherds and whatnots, and then we also get dudes to spend up on? Or because everybody's sitting, are we just going to be like sitting on a pile of money at the end of the day, like hoping a bunch of 4K guys go off? Cat, by the way, is out.
Cat just ruled out. Not great.
Of,
we didn't need any more value. I still don't think the Knicks are a great team to target, but we have a couple interesting spends. Jokic is probably going to be the chalk of the slate. I think we have him at 45% ownership on FanDuel, maybe even higher on DraftKings, just because you have so many 3K guys in play. Then you have Jokic. The Nuggets need to win to stay out of the play-in tournament. Jamal Murray not expected to play. So he's like the easy lock and load spend tonight.
And even at ownership, even at 80% ownership, you're like, if you have all the money, just the raw points he will, in theory, provide, that's tough to pass on, right?
Yeah, because, the Bucks, you could play Giannis, but I think they're – what was it? They were pretty big underdogs, so, their motivation's not – I don't know. They're 5.5-point underdogs, so I'm kind of worried about them a little bit. You have the Bulls, who I'm definitely keeping an eye on. If Giddey plays, he's right there with Jokic as my favorite spend, just because he's been on fire. Great matchup against Washington. They're still trying to improve their seeding for the play-in tournament. And then if he's out, you can play everyone else from the Bulls. So you can play Kobe White, you can play Vucevic. And so those are kind of the other spends that I don't mind. Probably not going to be on Cunningham. I think Anthony Davis is at least interesting. The Mavericks are going to be in the playoffs, and he hasn't been great since returning from injury, but he has top 60 a couple times. So they're probably going to be playing their guys against Toronto, which is a good matchup.
So there are some spends.
If you want to go, bring it back with somebody, if you're playing Jokic, you go with Ja Morant. Point guard's historically been pretty good against Denver, and he's been much better recently. And they're also kind of stuck in that logjam in the Western Conference.
Yeah. Okay. Well, very good. Let's go position by position. Watching these. It's tough to hate on the Celtics, man. Let's go around the horn. We'll start, I guess, around the horn, probably not the proper phrasing now that we're talking basketball, but let's go position by position, starting off a little point guard, work our way down towards center. Also, shout out to Devin, who says, this might sound sus, but Kevin seems like the nicest guy ever. Thank you. Honestly, everybody at RotoGrinders, like literally everyone at RotoGrinders, is weirdly nice. I don't know how they accomplished that feat, but they did. Good crew around here. Thank you, by the way, Devin. Let's go ahead and go to point guard and talk about what we've got there, Noto.
Yeah, so again, if Giddy's active, probably going to be a staple in my lineups. If he's out, go to Kobe White. Are we doing both sites?
You tell me. Would you prefer to go individual FanDuel and then DraftKings, or do you just want to lump them together because it's similar enough?
Yeah, let's just lump them. We only got 14 minutes.
Sure.
So TJ McConnell, definitely a core play for me on DraftKings. Only 3,700 there. Pacers, like a lot of teams, are resting their guys. So McConnell's probably going to have a pretty big role. We haven't projected to start right now. Even if he comes off the bench, I think he's a guy that's going to get 28 to 30 minutes. Good matchup with Orlando resting everybody. So they're missing a lot of their key defenders. And yeah, 3,700 on DraftKings. I think you can play him on FanDuel too. He's currently the highest RG value that we have on FanDuel as well. And then, yeah, I like John Morant if you are looking to spend some salary here. The other guys that project well, Jared Butler for Philly. It's a good matchup against Atlanta. Not a guy that, I feel great about playing. I do like the guys from Orlando since they are resting a lot of players. Cole Anthony's been good per minute producer pretty much his whole career. Probably going to get the start tonight. You have Anthony Black on Orlando as well. And then DraftKings specific, you can look out for Peyton. He's had a couple huge games so far this season. New Orleans just continues to lose guys left and right. As we hopped on, I think Alvarado, he's playing, but they're resting a bunch of other guys. And then FanDuel specifically, you can maybe look to Trae Young, large field stuff. They are battling for playoff positioning, and he's the guy that can get you 55 plus, and he's not going to be as high owned as some of the other spends tonight. So I think he's interesting against the Sixers.
Good stuff. How about shooting guard? I am getting note. I don't know if you mentioned this. McConnell is starting according to Power in the chat.
So now he's going to be 90% owned on DraftKings and probably, 60 on FanDuel. But it is easier to play him now. So yeah, I do like McConnell quite a bit. If you want to get a little different, you could definitely play, somebody else on Indiana there. Maybe play Mathurin or Walker at small forward. But again, I think McConnell they don't really have a whole lot of other players there. So I think he's going to have a really nice night. We've seen it every year.
Doesn't he he boards and he dimes? He does more than just score, right? He kind of stuffs the stat sheet a little bit.
Yeah, every year at this point, we're like, how is he not a starting point guard in the NBA? Because he comes into these starts and crushes and then kind of goes back to that reserve role. But yeah, definitely a guy that I want to play tonight. As when it comes to shooting guard, Aaron Wiggins probably going to be your best bet on FanDuel. He's not available on the DraftKings slate. They get to play against Utah, and they're resting pretty much all their guys. You got Aaron Wiggins, you got Adam Flagler, both projecting as two of the best plays. Then you have Isaiah Joe too. So OKC guys projecting as 3 of the 4 top values over on FanDuel. I think you kind of just take your savings there. You can play Josh Giddey too on FanDuel at shooting guard. DraftKings, it's a little trickier. You have just a lot of cheap guys that you're kind of hoping to get lucky with. You have AJ Lawson, Jet Howard, Antonio Reeves. I kind of like spending up for Lonnie Walker. The mid-range is just going to get overlooked tonight because everyone's going to play the expensive guys and everyone's just going to plug in a bunch of 3K guys. So I think Lonnie Walker at 6,200 for Philly. He's been playing big minutes, 37, 39 minutes in 2 of his last 3 games. A guy that when he's given the chance, he can put up some stats. I mentioned Benedict Mathurin. I think he's interesting. Cole Anthony. And then for large field stuff, Anthony Edwards, the Minnesota Timberwolves do have something to play for. So if you want to get a little bit different for a spend, certainly don't mind looking to Ant-Man.
Okay, good stuff. How about small forward?
Let's see what we got. So again, Aaron Wiggins over on FanDuel. He's probably my 3rd favorite play over there next to Jokic, McConnell, and then Wiggins. If you're playing cash game, single entry, I think you kind of start with those 3, and then you kind of build from there. And then you have just a bunch of guys that you're kind of hoping get the start and get the minutes. Again, this is one of those nights where you have to keep an eye on starting lineups. I wouldn't play any of the really cheap guys that aren't starting unless you're playing large field stuff, just because we just don't know what's going to happen with rotations. So the safest way to look at it, if they're starting, they're probably going to get 30 minutes. So in terms of New Orleans, you have Jamal Cain, Keon Brooks. We have them both projected for over 30 minutes. Not a good matchup against Miami, but they have, nobody right now. I mentioned Lonnie Walker. Dylan Jones for OKC. We haven't projected to start at small forward right now. Love the matchup against Utah. Utah is still trying to lose, so I think OKC value plays are going to be pretty big tonight. And then on DraftKings, some of the same names. You have Keon Brooks, Walker for the Pacers. We have Tristan Da Silva, who I can't remember, somebody in the chat.
I got to cut in.
Yeah.
I've got to cut in. Yankees are beginning the process of removing the tarp from the field. They announced a start time of 7:30. So they plan on playing this in the rain.
Good news, right?
So that's a big deal. And we still got that with enough time that hopefully if you wanted to get some, and I don't think it's very likely, am I going to regret saying this? I don't think it's very likely they find themselves in a situation where they start and then stop, right? Because they're starting in the rain. So it's the intensity of the rain isn't going to change that much as you move through the game. So that makes me think they will start in the rain, they will finish in the rain, and they will just play the game in the rain. So quick note on that. Back to you. Sorry for cutting in.
Oh, that's good. People need to know. So yeah, small forwards, just there's so many 3K guys that you can plug in. Again, just look at those starting lineups and then kind of go from there. You can maybe just plug in a guy at 3.6 or 3.4 and then just wait until starting lineups come out and kind of plug in the guys that end up starting. I did see somebody in the expert survey, their hot take was that it was going to be a big game for Tristan Da Silva. So he hasn't had more than 12 points very often this season, but all of them Orlando guys are out. So interesting. And then if you're not playing Jokic, which I'm not recommending tonight, I think he's kind of like your ace that is an obviously good matchup for baseball fans out there. So, but if you're not playing him, I don't mind looking at Michael Porter in tournaments.
Okay, very good. That brings us to power forward, I think.
Yeah, so again, everyone on the Thunder, on the FanDuel site is going to stand out because they're resting basically all their starters. So Jalen Williams, great per minute producer. He's had a couple of big games too. He put up 54 against Portland, put up 65 against Philly. He's only 4,800 on FanDuel. So I have him tagged right now as a core play. You have Cheeseisgood Goga at 4.2.
Yeah.
You can play him for sure. I probably like him more on FanDuel than I do on DraftKings just because he's power forward eligible. And then you have Kenrick Williams, another OKC guy that's going to get a lot of run tonight. Mogbo, who I think she's also mentioned, back-to-back 50-plus fantasy point games. So a rookie that's been really shining towards the end. No reason for them to not give him some big minutes. Large field stuff. I kind of just want Drew Timmy to be a thing, so I'll play a little bit of him if I'm building 5 or more lineups. Then the only difference on DraftKings is you have Robinson Earl. We have him projected for 33 minutes for the Pelicans tonight. Played 33 minutes the other night. Not a good matchup against Miami, but he's 3,300. Hard to go wrong with that value.
Okay, good stuff. That brings us to the big men centers. What do you like?
Again, I'm playing Jokic on FanDuel. I'm playing Jokic on DraftKings. I think you don't really need to get any different. If you do want to flip the build on FanDuel, you can go with Robinson Earl there because you can play Jalen Williams and Goga at power forward. That's what I would rather do. But if you want to, spend up it everywhere else and then save at center and flip the build, then you can definitely go with Robinson Earl at 3,900 on FanDuel. Vucevic is kind of one of my favorite tournament plays, but it's just hard to fit him into lineups because I want to play Jokic and then I want to play Goga at 3.4 on DraftKings. So you can't really fit him on either site unless you're just really building a really different lineup. But if Giddey ends up being out, Vucevic is probably going to have a really nice night against Washington. That's just about it for me.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. Let's open it up for some questions. We've got 4 or 5 minutes here until lock, and we are getting some questions in. As always, I'm just checking out the Discord here. FanDuel Cash here aside says 2v2 Noto Council, Ant, or Giddey and Dylan Jones.
I'm going on the assumption that Jones gets to start. So I'm going to go with number 2 and that Giddey's active. You obviously got to wait for that news.
Yep. Okay. Test says in a DK GPP, is it too much playing 3 Pacers and 2 Magic?
No, I don't think so. With them resting all their guys, that's kind of what you got to do on the slate.
Okay. FU, that's a nice name, says, is Garland starting today? It's his name. I'm not saying that to you. Is Garland starting today, Noto?
We haven't projected to. Donovan Mitchell is out, but they don't have anything to play for, so I probably wouldn't play him. It might just be like get the starters 20 minutes and then get him out of there.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's go to Rick's question. It is DK Cash, Butler, Reeves, or Walker and CPJ?
I'm going to go Butler and Reeves.
Okay. DK Cash question from Fit Crooks. We have still plenty of time, 3 minutes here until lock. Giannis and Jarris Walker, or Giddey and Mogbo?
Been talking about Giddey the whole time. And again, I'm just worried. The line with the Bucks seems a little fishy to me. So I'm going to definitely go with Giddey, but make sure he actually plays.
Yeah. Okay. Craig Porter Jr. or TJ McConnell, DKGPP?
I mean, McConnell is going to project a lot better. And I don't know. I think you just eat the chalk. It's hard for me to see with him starting, him not getting there at 3,700. So I'm just going to play McConnell chalk, Jokic chalk, look to differentiate elsewhere.
Yeah. Craig, we just did that one. Brunson, Anunoby, and Hart all in. With no cat, do we talk about like Precious, Brunson, any of those guys on the Knicks, or you're just worried about minutes and such?
Yeah, I don't have a strong take on it. Robinson will probably start at 3.5K, but I mean, he hasn't played more than 23 minutes all season, so I don't think I want to go there. Yeah.
Okay. Let's hit a promo real quick, and we'll see if we get any more questions in. We've got 2-3 minutes here until lock. For those of you who are about those baseball streets, MLB DFS annual option, $425. But we've dropped our Combo Pro product to mirror the MLB annual product. So now you can get all the sports for the same price, for $425. And if you do it by 6 months instead of the month-to-month package, you actually save 35% by doing it that route. So you can get MLB projections, NBA content, PGA data, and a whole lot more just by making sure you have that Combo Pro product. So go ahead, do that. It's smart. Javier says, outside of Indy, Orlando, any recommendations for someone 4K or under DKGPP?
Yeah, tons of guys you could play. Let me sort real quick. So yeah, so obviously you got the Goga and McConnell. I think they're going to be popular, but Robinson Earl, we have him at 25% ownership at power forward. I like him quite a bit. I mentioned De Silva. One of the guys in the expert survey likes him a lot. I like Walker or Indiana. I guess he said outside of Indiana. And then the Pelicans guys, you just got to wait and see who ends up starting. So Kane, Brooks, Kelly, a bunch of guys that you can play. Reeves is right over that threshold too. And then somebody mentioned Craig Porter. Don't mind looking at him in large field stuff again with no Donovan Mitchell. He could run into minutes in the high 20s.
Yeah. I'm honestly a little flummoxed that the Yankees are going to just play this. I'm surprised. And I'm mildly worried, Noto, that they're announcing a start time and they're unaware that the rain just is going to get a little heavier. And then they're going to get out there at 7:30 to start and be like, this is too heavy to play. And then the game is scratched. I'm mildly worried about that happening. But I hope they're not dumb enough to do that, right? That would be really dumb because they have a meteorologist on staff and they're not that dumb. So I really hope they don't do that. Mr. Elvin says, not fully aware of game importance, but a quick Google said that the Hawks game on DK large field, any love for Okongwu and Trey? Okay, that was some preamble there, but any love in a DK tournament for Okongwu and Trey, assuming they're on the slate?
Not for Okongwu. I know he's been pretty good recently, but center is just Jokic for me. So I do like Trae Young in tournaments. So if Giddey ends up being out, I think Young becomes a lot more interesting. And they have something to play for. Philly's been real bad. So, yeah, I like Trae.
Okay. Chili Chill says, what players do you like for the late games, FanDuel late slate in a GPP? Reed Shepherd, baby. My boy Reed is going off.
There you go. Yeah, I didn't write about the late games because I've talked about the main slate. So
yeah.
Lean on Lineup HQ, the projections team, as you covered.
Yeah, right. Don't lean on me. Actually, go check out the projections. Let's see. TJ triple double tonight with a couple backcourt steals. That's what I was thinking. Hoosiers hang banners. My boy TJ McConnell triple double is my hot take of the day because I know he can do it all. One last question. We have hit lock here. It was Giannis. Did we do this one? Giannis, Jarris Walker, Giddey Mogbo? I think we did.
Yeah,
and you were leaning that the Giddey side. Yeah. Hey, guess what? We did it, Noto. We hit lock. I assume your boy did not make the 50-foot putt. Otherwise, we'd have been.
You would have heard an audible scream.
I hate to hear it. All right. Well, let's clean run out of here. Let's bounce on out. For Noto, for Cheese, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been